You can move that chair all the way if you want.
Oh,
That's all right.
yeah, it's like we have tritis back here.
I know, right? Maybe the end chair, because Claire's not coming, she's stuck in.
It's Peter.
Give yourself a little more room, Karen. No, we're just moving down because we have so many. We're like right on top of each other here.
Yeah, I've been noticing, Ronnie, is when people open the roads up for new construction, they're not doing a very good job of patching them up. There's a couple that have like divots. So do we
The
issue
one
a
on
signal?
Wood Valley, you're talking about 24?
There's one on Wood Valley, there's another one, I went over with my bike the other day over by, I forget where it is, on the other side of Massill's Road. It was bumpy.
The one on Wood Valley, we got to fix, I just talked to you.
Do we hold the CO until they do that? Okay.
Yeah, so that one on Wood Valley, he wanted to close his permit. I said, you gotta come back and fix it.
Yeah, that one's a bad one.
I was like, it's a complete, so he said he's coming to fix that.
Ronnie, you want to start? I'm done.
Yes.
All right,
I'll call the meeting to order, Deputy Mayor.
thank you. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Peter, please feel free to lead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to start the public hearing portion.
Do we have a second to the public hearing?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first public hearing on the agenda is proposed local law C, amending the definition of home occupation. This has been on the trustees' desk since August 30th, so it is properly aged. We've been through it several times. We have the revised version prepared by our attorney, Mr. Whitcock. Does anybody have any comment?
Frank, I think you were the one who had a couple of concerns with the last version of this local law. Of the home occupation? Affirmative.
Can you speak up a little bit, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Microphone's on?
Or was it?
No, it wasn't me.
Can they hear the?
Yeah, but that
Oh,
can be
okay,
her.
that's
She just, the court's.
No, it wasn't me.
Did you have a question then on home office?
No.
Somebody had a question.
I had changed, I know that, I thought trustee Collins was concerned about perhaps parking.
Oh, that was me.
Just making sure, so,
But you addressed that.
so I included that, you'll see it up here.
Yep.
D, so I have to.
Okay, seeing there's no comments,
Anybody from the public with any comments? I guess that answer is no. That being said, I'd like to make a motion to enact proposed local law C of 2021 entitled zoning.
May I just ask if there could also be a resolution pursuant to secret that this is a type 2 action having, a type 2 action having no significant impact on the environment. And perhaps that could be one motion together, both to approve the secret determination and the local law, should the board so choose.
Yes, that will be my motion then. Thank you,
motion
Jeff.
is on the table, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Trustee Denise, seconds the motion, I'm going to poll the board. Trustee Lewandowski,
Aye.
trustee Collins.
Aye.
Trustee Denise,
Aye.
and Deputy Mayor.
Aye.
Okay, so moved.
All
The next item on the agenda is proposal for Ward D, amending the definition of a rear yard. And this has, the new version has been on the desks of the trustees as of September 24th, and it's properly aged. So what happens here is that Mr. Albinsky created a diagram that clarifies exactly what we mean by a side yard. And that is included as an appendix to the code.
And I'm hoping, Frank, this was one that you had the question on that.
Yeah, but it's clear now. I think people understand how it works. It's not any different than most corner lot designations in other municipalities, so
Right.
it's pretty clear.
Is there any comment from the board?
Any comment from the public?
There being no comment, I would like to ask if anyone would care to offer a resolution enacting local law D and also enacting secret resolution declaring this a type 2 action.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, trustee Lewandowski,
Aye.
trustee Collins,
Aye.
trustee Janice.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor.
Aye.
So moved.
Aye.
Okay, now that we have our 2 local laws out of the way, I'd like to ask for a motion to close the public hearing portion of the meeting.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
That was a quick night.
That was great. And Angie, with that, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next is the approval of the minutes of the September 13th regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
I read them over. They were accurate. So I'll make the motion to approve them.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, the claims, I'll give you a moment to review the claims.
So I did have one question, but I'll just let the board know what I found out. You'll see something here from Key Civil Engineering for hillside erosion issue we have on Stonytown Road. Hopefully, we will be able to get that money back from FEMA.
Yes, I attended after briefing on this FEMA event, and any actions taken to remediate a dangerous situation will be reimbursed, and that was certainly what that was for.
If anyone doesn't have any questions, I will make a motion to approve the claims.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Alfinsky. Many names I didn't know.
Okay, the ARC report from September 27th, we had 2 applications. 40 Furnace, which is new residents. We had a final couple of comments that was before us, probably, I think that was the 4th time. So that's finally resolved with those conditions noted. We also had 1045 Northern Boulevard, which was signed for the Madison Reed store. And there were some comments on the dimensions. So with that, we're presenting it to the board for approval. I'll say we also had informal. We requested an informal for one house, new house, and I didn't put it on here because it wasn't formal. Had to do with, they were asking for variances, looking at the ARC before variances, we gave them some guidance that we thought they should, before proceeding with any work to the zoning board, so they'll be coming back. That's the report for ARC. I did have a question for the resolution on the corner lots. That becomes effective when you file with the state or tonight?
Must file with the Secretary of State.
Okay.
However, we do have an applicant who has a situation, and I believe that they can start filing.
We have a couple applications that, I told them that this
Yeah,
may be
start
coming and are sitting out there waiting for that.
Peter, what's going on with the cladding on that Northern Boulevard building?
They're waiting for the panels. It's
Porcelanosa.
porcelainosa panels.
Yeah, I was told
So
by
they
the
have the
owner
cleats on there, they're
that they
waiting.
were here.
Yeah, so they're supposed to do a mock-up for us on the corners and window details as a first step.
Can I ask a question about that? I was interested to see that because that business, Madison Reed, is online organic hair color for women. So is this a store, are they manufacturing it there or are people going to go in there and buy it off the shelf?
they-
No,
Like
it's a salon. They have
Oh.
Manhattan,
Gotcha.
they have a
yeah.
they're all
And had
kinds of-
stations where, sit and have
Yeah.
your.
Hair color.
It's kind of like,
Gotcha.
it's like Ulta or they
Gotcha.
sell stuff and they have, hairs. You know,
Gotcha. I only know them as online, so, okay.
That's what I thought it was as well.
Yeah, right, you did.
There's one at Roosevelt Field, but I think they only sell products there. I just saw the banner popped up on one of the stores.
Any other questions? Okay, I'd like to ask for a motion approving the findings of the Architectural Review Committee.
I'll make a motion.
I have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Okay, Stephen Rich, where do we start? First, I wanted to ask about I know you went over to Stony Town and Hazard Woods earlier. So we've had like some water seepage on the corner of Stony Town and Manhasset Woods. We had PSG look at it since they had done a box installation there. They couldn't find anything. We had both water districts go over and check their mains. They couldn't find anything. Oh my God, did you fly here with your arms? It feels like it. And at this point, we really don't know where the water's coming from. Unfortunately, somebody slipped and fell on the ice there last year, so we need to do something. So Stephen Rich took a look.
Oh, no, we didn't get a chance, but I saw what's going on over there. I mean, we still have to dig up a little bit to see what's going on.
Oh, okay.
So tomorrow I should be able to.
All right.
think about
And what's going on with the road work?
So tomorrow, basically, American should be completing the pavement on Country Club Drive, where we put the 2 catch basins in the dry well.
Yep.
And we should be finished aside from punch list. Happy to be finished with American.
And
Did I say that?
Oh,
Hey,
no. Right, he must have a fever.
Rich, when are we going to stripe the streets?
Huh?
When are we going to stripe the stop sign
Well,
streets?
once he's done with that, I'll send a sweeper out to sweep up that whole area, because there's so much gravel and stuff from there. Once they finish sweeping, hopefully within some point this week, we'll put up all the stop lines and all that.
Perfect.
Maybe by the beginning of next week, once this rain holds off.
All right, next, I have the Stony Town Road erosion update. Anything happening?
Do you know if they were fine?
I did get a call from the owner today. I did get a chance to return the call. Hopefully it's right with me, so I'll follow up with that. But there's been nothing, we were hoping for more hay bales to be put down. I was promised them in the last week, and I don't think they've been installed yet. But I'm in contact with their engineer who's working on the engineering part.
Do you know if that wall was looked at in that backyard?
He does not look at the wall yet.
And do we know if a summons was issued by code enforcement?
Yes,
It was.
it was.
I'm good.
I assume that's probably why they called you.
I have a question about the west side of, when you go down the bike path and then you cross over and then there's a road, is that us on the west side of Stony Town or not?
I think the first 25 feet is us.
So you know where it's like
Where it
caved
collapsed,
in and
yes.
Yeah.
where it collapsed? Yeah, that's not us?
I understand that Plans
Yeah, right
Manor is going to do their
Oh, you're
repair.
talking about that walkway, yeah, that's Pineville Manor.
Gotcha.
They're going
Their
to do the
contractor
repair.
did all that, and
Like a few years ago, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So they should be, I guess, on that.
Yeah. It looks a little dangerous,
I know.
right?
I know.
Especially you go on and you're going, is that going to slip down? Yeah, I just wondered. Thanks.
Oh, okay. Just read it.
You go on the cross Stony Town,
Um,
Plan of Country
okay,
Club on
next
the left.
is-
or the
So
road.
Steve and Rich, any other issues or we're good?
Road
Now we're okay.
and the hill is, okay.
Excellent.
Cones there?
Okay, my
Because
report.
the water was so.
I just want to inform the board that I spoke to Ginny McNamara today, and she asked me to please thank the board for the lovely event we had dedicating the park to Bob, and she was just brilliant.
No, it
So,
was a
on
great, it was
behalf
a,
of Ginny, thank you.
no, it was a great event. And thank you, everybody in the village for putting it together. And Rich and everybody, and Peter, thank you for the design of the
Cross over
memorial.
Stony Town, right on the opposite side.
And we did get the bronze plaque in, so that should be going up soon, I'm guessing.
As soon as somebody can
We'll
lift it.
wait.
Guys?
Sorry.
Okay, so as notified, the deputy mayor, we are applying for Hurricane Ida reimbursement. Also, the court grant program was not happy with the resolution that we submitted to them. And they asked us to pass a resolution using their language, which is as follows. So I'm going to ask someone to propose and second this resolution. The Board of the Village of Flower Hill authorizes the Village of Flower Hill Village Court to apply for a JCAP grant in the 2021-22 grant cycle up to $30,000. Has to be those exact words. So if somebody could please offer that resolution.
I guess I'll make a motion for that resolution.
Motion, and we have a second. Where, okay, trustee Wilson, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Jeff went to make copies, we have agreed on the IMA on Middlesex Road, so you want to talk about that, Randall? Or?
Yeah, so it's been a long time coming. We finally have the IMA ready to go with the county. The county agreed to, after they fix the drainage issue by Greenway, they have agreed afterwards to come back and do full width repair, which was one of our last requirements for it. I believe from what Ronnie told me earlier today, the mayor needs to sign a certain document. Is this the document?
He would sign the IMA stuff out of the contract.
Okay. And then after that, the IMA needs to go to each of the county legislatures to have their individual sign off. So we have prepared, or we are preparing, a letter to send to each one of them describing the situation, telling them how long it's been transpiring, and why it's kind of an urgent thing, and why we would appreciate their support in signing off on the IMA. I think I have everything covered there, Ron? Excellent.
Because the last time we adopted a resolution approving the village's safety in Middle Neck Road, Bob McNamara was mayor. And so our council has prepared this resolution approving proposed contracts in the form of an intermunicipal agreement transferring Middle Neck Road to the Village of Flower Hill. Whereas the Village of Flower Hill and the County of Nassau have considered the institution of an IMA under which that portion of Middle Neck Road within the confines of the village will be transferred to the Village of Flower Hill's ownership and control. And whereas the village and the county have reached an agreement as to the terms of the IMA, which has been reduced to writing, with the final proposed changes having been received by the village. And whereas the Board of Trustees having determined that approval of the agreement is in the best interest of the village, therefore be it resolved that the proposed IMA, which should be attached to this resolution, be and the same hereby approved and the mayor authorized to execute on behalf of the village.
And if I may, the change that was referenced, and I'm turning to Mr. Lonozak and Mr. Duckman, just to be sure that I got this correct. There was a concern about a ponding issue at the southeast corner of Greenway and Middle Neck Road. And the county agreed and made some changes. The particular portion is that they'll be repaving a portion of that road to direct the water to the drainage inlet. And then at first they'll do a patch restoration. When the patch restoration for the drainage is done, the county will replace the asphalt pavement of the patch for the full width of Middle Neck Road, and the length of the patch will be necessitated by the need to address the existing ponding issues. So there have been some back and forth about that, but I think both Mr. Lonozak and Mr. Duckman, you're okay with the language as it is now that covers what we thought about having the full.
Yes.
Okay, so I'd like to ask someone to offer this resolution.
I'll offer it.
Okay, and we have a second.
I'll second.
Going to call the board. Trustee Dorfman? Aye. Trustee Lewandowski?
Aye.
Trustee Collins?
Aye.
Trustee Denise?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor?
Aye.
Yes, so moved.
Now let's see if we can get this done before 2022.
Oh, no. I'm thinking 2030. Okay. Next, okay, we were, on the trustees report, trustee Dorfman was talking about putting a new push on the food drive. Just from the newsletter, we got a couple of bags of food.
Yeah, thank you for including that in there. Thank you for people that have been, continue to donate food. We're just looking for some new ideas as we get close to Thanksgiving, perhaps, turkey drive, I'm not sure what it'll look like. So if you know of any organizations that are in need, would love to hear more about it and explore how, the village can step up our efforts this year. The food drive last year was wildly successful. I think the area food pantries were very appreciative. So just looking to see how we can enhance those efforts.
Don't forget, we have contact, and I have 1,000 emails, so,
I'll be
I'd be happy to use it.
Perfect. Thank you,
Okay.
Ronnie.
Okay, so this is our digitization project. So when I went up to the New York Conference of Mayors Full Training School, I talked with many of their NICOM officials. And it seems that there is no hard and fast decision by the Treasury Department to allow this kind of project to fall under the one of the requirements for projects to spend the American Recovery Act money on. There's a big push for it. As a matter of fact, the National League of Cities is pushing very hard to Treasury and to allow the digitizations project, because in the event, like during the pandemic, it would have been really wonderful for people to be able to access their documents without having to make an in-person visit. But that being said, we're going to hold off for a while until they either Treasury does make that approval, or in the alternative, another category of monies that can be used for anything, of Recovery Act monies, is if our village can show that we had a loss of revenue between 1920, that budget year, and the subsequent budget year. If so, we could use those funds for anything we want. So our treasurer Suzanne is working on that. It's quite a project. But hopefully we'll, I know for a fact we lost a lot of court income. We had no court income during those times.
Don't you actually have to go back to 2019?
Yes, our 1920 budget year. So we're going to put that on hold for now.
We were hoping, though, to approve the migration to Microsoft 365 for our web platform. Unfortunately, we did not get a quote from the vendor in time.
Did you see his email?
Yes, he has to do the whole whiteboarding
That's the
session.
whiteboard.
I
I
mean,
don't know what that means.
I understand what he wants to do, but I think he thinks our village is 8 times the size of what he thinks it is. It's only a small amount of it. It's for us. It's email only licenses, and for everyone in the office, it's a full license. It really shouldn't be that long. But
We
hopefully-
believe that there's no increased expense, compared to this app river which we're using for our email
Right.
server.
and
Well, it's
the
the same
savings
cost.
also is we don't have to invest in a new server. So if we do the goal is to have all the information in place so we can move forward. We can vote on this next month. It's definitely needed, and it won't be that expensive in the scheme of things.
Now, I sent everybody the sewer study that was done by the Port Washington Sewer District engineer. They're engineers, and so they came up with a 2-phase project. And the question that Randall and I had on phase 1 is like, what exactly does phase 1 include? What streets?
Yeah, so we asked them to come
Yeah,
back
be
and
more
give us
specific.
like a map, color in what section. We're hoping it's everything north of Stonytown, but that's just a guess. So before we decide to spend monies and move forward, I want to make sure, or we all want to make sure that it's not just for a very small area for that first section, that phase 1.
And again, the Recovery Act money is sewer work and drainage is specifically included on spending for that, for the Recovery Act.
And also,
Are these the only people who could do the work?
Well, this is the engineer. They are the engineer for the sewer district,
right?
So there are, I would think, the only ones privy to a lot of information that would not be readily available to another engineer.
And if I remember my conversation when Brian and I met with the water district, they've seemed to have done, D&B have seemed to have done some of this work, so we can, it's cheaper than it would have been if we went with a whole new engineering firm, because there's some work that they
Work has
have
been done.
access to.
Well, they also have all of the databases and drawings and everything.
It's just a big number and.
Yeah.
I mean, when you put it all together. And I didn't know if there was other people we should be talking to just to, see that, just keep them honest kind of thing. I mean, it's great that they have the knowledge, but it also means they have leverage, which maybe not is so good either.
Well, I'm just thinking as a board, we kind of have to think about, this is what you really want for the future of the village. I spoke with Seacliff, who did some sewer work in the last couple of years. And, just a small portion of their village was probably, close to $10 million. That's
Right.
value issues. But on the other hand, sewers are so much more, ecologically correct.
And I think
Accessible.
they add value to people's homes.
Absolutely.
And with this whole infrastructure bill, there could be monies
Right, we've
available
already
for us to do this kind of thing.
Requested our Swazi and
No,
Schumer and
They were all
Christian
over
Jill grants to please include our
Right.
project in their infrastructure funds.
Which is why it's good to do the study, just so we get an idea of the scope of having this whole thing.
I guess the other thing I wasn't sure of is there a specific timeline? Because I didn't see anything.
There's
kind
a
of-
schedule in the last page.
Oh, did I miss that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right, I did see this. I guess in my thought, I was like, geez, that seems like a very generous schedule, which maybe they, that's what they do. I mean, it's a 14-month schedule.
It'll probably take 10 years to complete the project, so,
I know.
right, maybe not 10, but a good 5.
It could be a very long project.
Right,
Yes,
so
it could
14
be.
months like a drop in the bucket.
Yes.
Yeah. If you want to look at it that way, but I mean, I guess, I don't know. I mean, does anyone else have any concerns about what they're proposing as a schedule?
My hope is also we can possibly apply for some grants, but that's something for us to look at as well.
Right.
Stuff that's above and beyond the federal dollars. Meaning a grant to do the feasibility study.
To do this work.
Yes.
So
This
does the
work-
money that,
This work is covered by Recovery Act. That would be next year's payment,
If we chose to do that way,
right?
we could choose to do it that way.
Correct. It is one of the approved items on the expenditure list.
Right. Well, okay.
We're not voting on it tonight. We're still
Right,
waiting to hear
no,
some
I mean, we
information
have
back
some-
from the water
we have
district.
A lot of, it sounds like we've got some big choices to make.
Right.
Coming months, so, yeah.
But I think the important thing is to do the feasibility study. It might not be easy to do. It might be very expensive to do. At least we know, meaning the actual sewers. It's good to, when was the last time this village did a sewer study?
Never.
Exactly. So I think it's probably good money to spend so we know where we need to be.
I agree.
so I guess you could ask them, can we do it in 6 months? And they'll say,
I don't think we can do it in 6 months.
no, but I mean, if
or
you're
14.
saying it's too long, 14 months versus
Well, I
6
guess-
months, then half of that is 7 months, or are you thinking a year? Is it really gonna make a
Well,
difference?
I guess we asked them to do it in phases. I think we did it in phases because we have a concern around Cardinal Road, but
If we decided to do this as one project and not 2 phases, yes, you're going to take this 15 months and you're going to half it. It's going to
Right.
be 7 months.
Right. And does it also decrease the overall cost? That might be worthwhile to look at. Because if they're going to decrease the schedule time, then it should actually
Well,
decrease the.
it would, because I know how DMV does their calculations of payroll. I worked for DMV.
Oh, that's right.
So they have groups, and what happens is the group in this case, the wastewater management group, which is Joe Moderato, who's on this document, that group can only do so much work. So if you try to double the work that you give them, they're not going to be able to do it in half the time. If you know what I'm saying. If we double up on these two, they can't do it in the time period allotted. And that's how they calculate their fees. They
Right.
do it by hours and by, manning and
Well, there might be an efficiency though. I mean, unless they're saying we're jumping, we're completing phase one and then we're jumping right onto phase two.
I mean, there could be a slight overlap.
Yeah.
Maybe where we
Yeah,
could
so
pick
why
up
not-
a couple months.
So Ronnie, why don't you ask them if,
Who's the project manager?
Lisa Lortano, Lodaro, Lisa Lodaro.
it's
For me, it's like we might as well jump all in if we're gonna think we're gonna spend this kind of money.
Lisa Lodaro.
Because we should just do it all and get it done. But, for me, it's how soon can we get it and, is there some efficiency in running it? As one.
So why don't we go back to them, ask them if they could requote it as, keep
Get
the
it
phase
for a
1 and
year.
2 and just requote it as one big project and see if there's any economy of scale. Because Gary, when we first spoke with them, we didn't have the federal recovery funds. That's why we looked at doing it phased, because we had the initial
Yeah.
problem north of Stony Town. We
Right.
wanted to try to address that. But you're right, it probably makes, if the dollars are there, maybe it makes sense to do the whole thing. And if there's an economy of scale, maybe we can save
Yep.
20, 30,000, who knows?
And the next thing that we had been talking about after our last big storm is discussing increasing our stormwater infrastructure capacity. Is that like a crazy idea? Or,
You need some sand first.
yeah?
Village has a lot of clay.
I'm just afraid that these 100-year storms now seem to be like an every 6 month storms. And I don't think they're going to get better again. I'm not just, not a fortune teller, but the experts seem to be saying that this is the new norm.
Try more of these dry wells.
Yeah, Steve,
Problem is the depth.
I mean, like, when we have a good-sized storm, dry wells aren't going to work, are they?
They're not designed for
They-
8
I mean,
inches of
you-
rain.
Designed for 7 inches of rain.
Right, but I'm saying not a super big storm, but let's just say one of a heavier than normal rainstorm. The dry wells, I don't think, can keep up with the amount of water that's in our streets. Is that true, or?
East side Utis, we had no flooding issues. We had, 3-4 inches of rain. We had no problem with East side Utis, last year.
But was that because of the dry wells, or was that because of where it goes into the storm sewer,
Less
that our
water.
streets all?
It's less
It was
water.
less of a rainfall.
Right, it was
Right.
more of a winter event.
Yeah, you can handle 4 inches.
I mean, this was a record.
7,
They
8
said
inches,
this
man.
broke the record. And that's, we've never had a rainstorm with this capacity ever.
Right.
That's all kind of history. So.
I'm just very skeptical that we could build enough dry wells to handle a large increase of water. I'd be more interested to know if our storm sewer system, if we can do any enhancements to that. I think that's more apropos of the situation instead of just drilling more dry wells. Is that something we can look into?
Connect to all of that. We have sewers where on the other side, right?
Just by, you have a copy of the bridge there, that section, but nothing.
We have nothing on this side.
And that didn't do very well.
Yeah, you got flooded in your area, right?
Flooded. They had Roslyn Highland on boats. It's 8 feet of water and
Pay a lot of money for waterfront property.
8 feet of water in that guy's house on Bertha.
Because it's not just the dry wells, it's the catch basins that get clogged.
Right.
And the pipe sizes to get to the dry wells or to get wherever it is. So if you're talking about trying to redesign the storm drainage system to take 8 inches in 4 hours, it's $1 billion. I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
It's-
it's monumental.
it's
Plus,
Can't
the,
do it.
the ground can't absorb water that quickly too, so you get runoff from the grass, you get runoff, it's just, it's
So,
not.
I mean, maybe you can pick some points, if there's some vulnerable points, you can maybe address some of the, vulnerable, points. I don't think you can do it village-wide,
No.
just to solve everything. And even the homeowners can do things on their own homes to help the problems that they've had.
For instance, this gentleman we went to look at before, he's number 2 Elderfields. He had a drainage issue. A couple of years ago, we put in 2 additional dry wells and 2 additional catch basins. He's been fine up until the last storm.
Right.
So we're talking almost 3 years ago.
1.5 years.
Is that Anthony?
We can't.
Yes.
He's in a low lying
Yeah,
area.
Right, we also bought the lowest house, right,
Yeah.
the lowest property on the
And
block.
then he dug down.
And it's low. You can't,
But he's asking for more dry wells. How many?
All right, well, something to think about. If and when we can find any innovative or interesting
I
solutions,
think
we can look at
moats
them.
are the answer.
Moats,
We should
no,
require moats on
wrong. Floating houses. Come on.
houseboats.
There
I
you
I
go.
have one question about the playground, just with water and obviously it's suffered with everything else, but is it too late to put more mulch down on, that one thing is like always muddy. That this-
Which one?
Not the one with the rubber underneath it, the one next to it, the climbing, is that the climbing thing?
We just filled it too, just recently.
Oh, you did?
We did, but it probably needed washed out a little bit more of that.
I was there like,
You're talking about the one with the jungle gym.
yeah, I was there like last week or two weeks ago. So you filled it in
No,
since
I
then?
can fill it more, that's.
It just looks like pretty much, and I just thought, there's October, November, the kids will probably still be out there. So if we had it, it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, no, we can fill that in.
You know what I mean, where that is?
And they're actually coming to do the fence, next Wednesday. That's from the.
Nice.
Great.
Oh, finally.
Yeah,
Great.
That's
Under
gonna be on
Captain's Grant.
Wednesday, they're gonna put the new fence in.
And it's the sports.
Yeah, we're gonna put that graphic up back on the sports wall.
Well, they never fixed the wall.
I think at this point, we keep condos' retainage
Just do something.
and just get somebody in to do it. The problem is now the weather again. We're not gonna put the epoxy on it because it's going down to the 50s.
You have to wait till spring.
What's
How
the
much of a
temperature
retainer do we-
requirement?
It's gotta be above,
$5,000, $6,000, I think.
it's gotta be above 70.
Above 70. Yeah, we're in October. For how long? A week? Is that,
At least, yeah, it should be for it to cure.
So,
the
I guess let's
climbing gym.
put this on the
That's
back
not a whole
burner
lot of money,
until,
$5,000.
until May, I guess. Yeah.
Put a whole bunch of-
Yeah,
It's fundamentally bad condition over there because it's just.
yeah.
So,
Right.
The only thing left on the agenda is the history report that was prepared by Rhoda Becker about Charles Munson, the father of Flower Bell. What she found, I thought this was really interesting, is that he owns so much property all over this area, but he had never paid the taxes. So in 1934, he donated the land for the village hall to the village in exchange for a few percentages.
For tax break?
nice.
Wait, these are the original
program.
Pandora papers then. How do you like that? Our history.
Public comment? Mitchell?
Yeah, it's a very interesting report.
Yeah.
Yeah, Munson owned so much land. I mean, and it's interesting too, because all of his land had a Roslyn address. So you see in old newspapers, Carlos Munson of Roslyn. And that is why St. Francis
Yeah.
is still in Roslyn, New York, 11576.
Right.
They never changed it over.
Interesting.
Which has always been weird. Why St. Francis is Rosalind.
I know.
That's why.
Oh, that's weird.
That's why, because all Munson's land was a Roslyn address. That was the land he donated to get rid of the drunks.
Any other business?
This is the shortest meeting we've ever had.
If we end it now, it
I
will be.
know.
Okay, one thing, those signs are still there and I go by there and they are, no way those homeowners put them up. No way.
Mary
No
Jo, I
way.
prepared a letter for Brian to send to the residents. He just has been busy and hasn't had.
I
a
don't
chance
think
to
they'd
look
have
at it.
anything to do with it. I think people stuck it up outside. It's not on anybody's fence or it's on a telephone pole and another is just stuck there. I'm gonna bet you any amount of money that residents had nothing to do with putting those signs
Maybe
up.
the one that says the Sunnyvale,
Yes.
Sunnyvale residents.
Yeah,
Thank
Wood
you.
Valley,
Yeah.
something like Wood Valley.
It's Sunnyvale, I think,
Yeah.
or is it, yeah, Sunnyvale, I think.
Maybe that's the only one, but the other ones, time to go.
So
Bring the
Brian
tape.
is going to send a note to the homeowners and we'll see from there if it's anybody's sign before we take it down. Maybe they want it, if they
Put a
want to
sign
take it
on a
back.
sign. Whose sign is it?
And we gotta take all these Greek festival signs.
Gotta take the
down.
beautification thing seriously,
I think we should
okay?
make our own
It is
It's been,
horrible.
it's been two, yeah, make Norman go around. He was one of the chairs. Yeah, let make him go, because it was a week ago, so.
Okay, thank you for that update.
All right. Anybody, Claire, anything else? All right, just want to give you extra time. I'll make a motion to end this month's meeting.
Do I have a second? That what it was?
I'll second.
I guess we'll stay all night.
We used to have meetings, like, we went till like 11 o'clock.
Bye.
These young kids, they don't know what it's like.
So what I was saying is that I can't remember, go from Trustees Road right now it becomes the path. The path.
Which path are you talking about?
Okay. Stonytown Road, you're on our walking path, then it becomes a sidewalk. When you cross Stonytown
Oh, right.
Road.